guys, and welcome back to another part of our RPG series. And in this part, in the previous video, we done this drag and drop window, and we have been working so far on the inventory that we can actually drag items, we can use the context menu and all sorts of things, right? So right now we're gonna be working on how we can equip some items on the character, right? So to do this is gonna be maybe gonna have to do a couple of refactors and things, but let's get around this, right? So what I want to do here is I want to go to my blueprints, to my components. I'm going to open up the components. I'm going to open up the BPC inventory item, and remember that we have access to the player controller. And remember that we have this context menu that is doing a couple of things in here, right? So what I want to do here is I want to make sure that we can call this inside our player controller. And the reason why is because different games have different needs. You may need to do something different on your game. Like in our case, when we're using the item, we may have to select the player parts that we want to change first and things like this. So it's gonna be very messy to handle everything in here. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go back to my main content. I'm gonna open up the player level. I'm gonna open up, the character. Let's make sure you open up the RPG controller, right? And in here on the RPG controller, I'm just gonna make sure as well that everywhere where I'm using this inventory stuff, I'm gonna call inventory. I'm gonna make sure the color is red, so you guys know exactly where is the inventory part being affected. Just gonna put it here. So it's easy for you guys to follow as well. So you know that this belongs to the inventory, right? Compile and save, right? So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna back to my BPC inventory. I'm gonna open the class settings. Make sure you got the BP inventory interaction there, the class here. And with this done, I'm gonna add another one, another method. I'm gonna call this inventory context menu trigger, right? We are triggering the context menu, and I'm gonna add two parameters here. So one's gonna be the context menu option, so whatever we're trying to do, and this is gonna be st item. So it's gonna call this item, and the type of this is gonna be st item, right? And make sure this is context context menu. There you go. Nice. So we're gonna compile and save. Right now we're using interface. The reason why using interface is because interfaces, they could be generic. Remember that right now we have access to a player controller, but the type of our controller here is it's just RPG demo controller, but also extends from player controller. So you could do something like, you could get this, you could do a cast to RPG controller. That would do the job as well, but this gets really restrict because you may have a different controller on your game that have a different name, different types. So let's just use interface, which will be easier for us, right? Go back to your controller, the PC RPG demo controller. Now in here, I think we have interfaces. We can see, if you see here, we should have another inventory context menu. Remember, those interfaces, they are showing up here as you add them there because they are added in the class settings in here, yeah, because you have the reference of the interface. If I just show here where is the interface, browse to asset is this one here on the component. That's why you are able to see new interfaces in here. Remember, interfaces, they are not necessary functions. They are just a contract between two classes saying, I have this data, I'm gonna send it to you, and now you can handle that data. Right, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna right click and call implement event. And what we can do here is just do a print here for now. I'm gonna print here the option with sending. I think we can just do toString for now. Let's just make sure that this is working before we can start to refactor our code. Compile and save. I'm gonna go back to the BPC inventory. I'm gonna go ahead here and I'm just gonna delete this for now. It's gonna unblock this. I'm gonna get my player controller. Remember the method name that we call here, the interface, which is inventory context menu trigger. From here, I'm gonna call inventory context menu trigger. Yeah, and we're gonna pass those methods, those variables in here on the interface. And if you did everything right, we should be able to press play and see delete coming up here. Drop, yeah, because we call drop, but it is actually being called. Do we call drop? How do we call this? We call, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Found a bug here as well, guys. Let me just do this before I forgot. So on the main here, go back to UI, inventory main, context menu, open up your button here. Right now we lock this to say drop or delete, doesn't matter. What you want to do here really is on the event construct, you just want to get your, make sure you mark this text as a variable, right? Plug it in here, set the text to whatever we're gonna actually set up. And right now we have access to the context action here. Just do a get, call method toString. Or I think I need to do toText maybe. Let's see if toText works, so we don't have to do the conversion. Let's just compile and save, and let's see if they actually say drop on the context menu. They say 1, which it doesn't do it properly. Let me just do toString, enum toString. And let's do like this, press play, and that should work properly. Yeah, you say drop, yeah. Because if you notice, it was always, we hard-coded that text. We don't really want to hard-code it. So yeah, just go ahead and do this small change. Just make sure you get the action. You do toString, and what you want to do here is enum toString. Don't do toString byte. Byte is the number, which is 0, 1, and 2, and we don't really want to do this. We just want to make sure you get the name here, right? Okay, and then do that on the event construct. You can also do in the pre-construct. It's up to you really, but I think the construct is fine at this point. Just gonna compile and save. Let's go back here to our inventory, press play again, and now we should be able to see a drop. Oh, here we should be able to see drop there, right? Drops coming up. Nice. So drops coming up correctly. We are very yeah, that's kind of working on the RPG controller here. So what I'm gonna do here, I am gonna go back to my inventory. I'm just gonna copy this piece of code. I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna paste this here. Or okay, I'm just gonna cancel. Then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do a switch case. Switch context menu, and on drop we're just gonna get the components BC inventory, and we're gonna call drop, no, delete, or how do we call that method name? So we have call manage remove inventory item. So that's what we want to do. It's gonna call remove inventory item, right? Gotta plug the item there. Nice. So that now compile and save, compile and save. That should still work exactly the way it was doing before, but now is going through the player controller. And once again, we're doing this because we're gonna start to use items now, and it may get very complicated if you try to do everything in here. So I'm gonna just mark this and say on player select item context menu options, right? Nice. Compile and save. We don't need this for now. We can just gonna be working now on the use here, right? So let's go ahead now let's close everything, right? let's work first. Let's do the item first. And then we can actually do the logic to actually equip the item. So what I want to do, let's go back to character. Let's open up the money. No, is the character SK casual? Let's go back to the money key maybe. Is that the meshes? Materials. I'm just trying to find where is the model here. There we go. So we have hair, we have some shirts, we have some trousers coming up here, and yeah, that's nice. So let's do a simple one. Let's make sure we can equip some glasses on the character, right? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna open up on window here. I'm gonna open up another context menu. It's just so easy for us to work here for now. And I'm gonna go here on all. I'm gonna go to main. I'm gonna go to blueprints. Blueprints here. I'm gonna go to items. I'm gonna duplicate the woodpecker, and I'm gonna call BP player glasses picker. It doesn't really matter how we call the item, right? As long as it makes sense. Remember, this is only the picker. The way it works, guys, is that this mesh will be attached to the player's face, so you can actually if you open up this, I think it has some bones on it, so you'll be attached to a certain space on the player. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Right, so what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna right click on this. Actually, I'm gonna open up this, and there's an option there called make static mesh. The reason why I want to make a static mesh is just because I want to give the player at least a visual of the item before we can actually get the item. So go ahead and mark make static mesh. Let's go back to dash main, blueprints, items. We're gonna call here glasses, or just glasses, right? Or just glass, yeah. Gonna save, and there you go. I'm gonna close this, and if you notice now, we should have the glass here, right? I'm gonna create another folder called maybe head, because it's gonna be a head equipment, or yeah. And then I'm just gonna drag those in here. You don't need to do this if you want to. I'm just doing this so I can keep everything together, so it makes easier to follow through. You don't need to call this folder head. You can just call maybe sunglasses or sunglass, doesn't matter. Open up your BP glass speaker. Let's open up this full blueprint editor. And what I want to do here, I just want to make sure that we can change the mesh.